Dre all day.
Here we go. Basketball world. What's good, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Y'all know it. Website ain't changed, even though I don't talk basketball every day anymore or play basketball every day anymore as I used to. We still know what's going on in the game. So several people have asked me, Dre, what about the prediction videos you usually do for the playoffs? You still going to do them? Well, obviously, I didn't do any this year. This is the first one for the Eastern Conference playoff preview. I was going to do both East and West in the same video, but unfortunately, I'm recording this on Monday. Yesterday, Sunday, the LA Clippers failed to close out the Denver Nuggets. They go into a Game 7, which will be played tomorrow. Wednesday, actually. The Game 7 is Wednesday, so there's no games today. So today, I'm going to do the Eastern Conference, and then we'll do the Western Conference on, I guess, whatever day the Western Conference Finals ends, the next day I'll do that video, that next morning, I guess, which will be Thursday. But anyway, let's talk about the East. First of all, let's talk about the teams that lost and just some thoughts that I have on the things that have been going on. And then we'll get into the actual teams who did not lose yet and what I think is going to happen moving forward. So looking at the Eastern Conference, the Milwaukee Bucks first round played the Orlando Magic. The Magic are one of those teams that's kind of like in no man's land. The no man's land situation of they're good enough that they keep making the playoffs, but they're not good enough they're going to beat anybody. So they'll win like maybe one game in a series, and then they're going to get beat. It's like they call it the gentleman's sweep. Like Toronto did it last year, and Milwaukee did it to them this year. Same thing. They got Vooch, who's a pretty good player. They should probably trade him while he has some high trade value. I don't know what they're doing with Aaron Gordon. I think he missed the playoffs, missed the series. Markelle Fultz is looking like he's something. I mean, the Sixers probably could have kept him and got more out of him than what they got out of the guys they traded for to get him. And whatever else they got, Jonathan Isaac, Mo Bamba, they need to do something with that team. That team needs to they need to start over because they don't have a good enough team to do anything and compete. They'll make the playoffs, but no, do you go to an Orlando game to see who? Anyway, we ain't giving them no more time. The Brooklyn Nets lost to Toronto in the first round. Now we know Brooklyn's story, that this year ended up being a transition year for them because they signed KD, who had a ruptured Achilles. He missed the whole season. KD's one of the top 5 players in the world. They signed Kyrie, who's a great player as well, great scorer. I don't think the Nets were going to be that good even if Kyrie had stayed healthy because Kyrie's a great scorer, but when Kyrie's been on the team, his own team, those teams have not been very successful. Even though he's going to put up great stats, he'll make All-Star, he'll get his highlights. But in Cleveland, the Cavs were never even close to competitive when Kyrie was the main guy. And this is 4 years into his career. Then in Boston, they had a good team. They did better without Kyrie than they did with Kyrie. These are just the truths of the situation. This is not hate against Kyrie, but this is just the truth. But Kyrie with a good player, i.e. LeBron James, Kyrie will do very well. So Kyrie with a guy like a Kevin Durant, I think they'll do well. I don't think Kevin Durant is LeBron James. He doesn't have that gravitational ability to make anything work around him, but we're going to find out because he's been on the Warriors, who are already great, and he was on the Thunder, who had Russell Westbrook. So we'll see how that works out. They have what else they got? They have all these guards. I think Brooklyn is going to have to do something with those guards. Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert and Kyrie, they all need the ball to be effective. I think you can keep 2 of them. You can't keep 3 of them. I think Dinwiddie might be the one to go. Maybe Karis LeVert will be the one to go. Maybe they'll get rid of both of them, but they can't keep all 3 of those guards. Kyrie, Dinwiddie, and LeVert, no. Somebody got to go. Then they have KD, who's a wing as well, and he's going to need the ball in his hands. They gotta do a little bit of shaping with that roster. I don't think the team that they have right now on paper, if they go into the season with that, is going to be good enough. They'll be good enough to, I say they could at least make the second round. I don't think they can beat let's say Milwaukee at full strength. I don't think they'll beat them. I don't think they can beat a Boston as presently constructed because, of course, these teams are going to change up in some ways. Probably not a Miami and not a Philly, and we're going to get to Philly in a minute. Next team that lost in the first round, if I'm keeping these in order, I believe was it Boston or was it the Pacers? Let's just say the Pacers. So the Indiana, they had a solid team, got rid of their coach. Malcolm Brogdon proved to be a solid player. Milwaukee should have actually kept Malcolm Brogdon. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Brogdon is very good. Oladipo missed a lot of the season. He came back. He wasn't 100% himself yet. He was one of the best players in the East last year. So had he been healthy, I think they could have been more competitive. I think the Miles Turner Sabonis situation, Miles Turner probably needs to go. They can get somebody of value for him who could play maybe a wing or a better like stretch forward type of position TJ Warren proving to be a good scorer. They got the makings of some good pieces in Indiana. So Bonus is a star. Oladipo is a star. Brogdon is not that level of star, but he's a sub-star. TJ Warren is a sub-star who can score. Whoever they bring in the coach, they got something in Indiana. So don't sleep on the Indiana Pacers. I think they can actually win a playoff series next season if they have a healthy team, the guys that I just mentioned, and they get Turner out of there and bring in somebody different of equal value. They can win a playoff series next season. East is actually getting better slowly. Philadelphia 76ers. Now, those of y'all don't know, I live in Miami, Florida. That's what you're looking at back here. But my hometown is Philadelphia, PA. I was super disappointed in what happened to the Sixers in the playoffs this year. Now, we know Ben Simmons got injured, and he's the second best player on the team, or maybe the best, depending on what you think. But him and Joel Embiid are the two best players on that team. Now, first of all, going back to last season, after the Sixers lost to the Raptors on the Kawhi's 4-bounce buzzer beater, I said, Joel Embiid needs to get in game shape. Ben Simmons needs to at least develop as a threat to shoot outside shots. He ain't got to become no Ray Allen, but he got to at least be a threat to shoot it so that they have to kind of guard him because he can make an outside shot. He'll take and make an outside shot, and they need to get rid of Brett Brown. Those are the three things that I prescribed for the Sixers last year when they lost to Toronto. They did none of them, which is why they had a disappointment this season. You might think it's because of Ben Simmons' injury. No, it's because they didn't listen to me. That's why they had a terrible season. They went and signed Al Horford, which didn't really make any sense. I get it to give Joel Embiid quality backup big man, because last year when they lost to Toronto, the Sixers had nobody off the bench to spell Joel. They were terrible every minute that Joel Embiid did not play. So I understood they needed to get somebody, but they gave Al Horford way too much money. They could have got a Miles Turner type of guy, or somebody who's good enough but not a complete bum. They could have got like a Dwight Howard-ish, JaVale McGee-ish type of guy and saved a whole lot of money. They gave Al Horford like a star contract. Why? To come off the bench and back up Joel Embiid, or to be another big man in a league where everybody's going small? It didn't make any sense, the amount of money that they gave up and the player that they signed. Al Horford was not the guy that they should have signed. That was a questionable signing. Al Horford's not a bad player. It was a questionable signing. Then they let Jimmy Butler leave, who they should have kept. Jimmy Butler was one of the main reasons. He was like the glue. Jimmy Butler was like a superstar, or not exactly a superstar, but right below a superstar level glue guy. Usually they say a glue guy, that's like a guy who, like a Ben Wallace or Udonis Haslem, these scrappy role player garbage men type dudes. But Jimmy Butler is like that in terms of his energy and his personality and how he makes everything work with the team, but he's also like a star at the same time. Jimmy Butler they should have kept. He was a glue guy that made that thing work, even though they had this funky lineup with Ben who won't shoot, Joel who needs the ball in the post, but then Ben needs to be in the post. It wasn't a quirky lineup that they had, quirky roster rather. Jimmy Butler was making that work. They let Jimmy Butler walk. Okay, cool. You don't want to pay Jimmy Butler $200 million or $150 million because he's like 30 and, y'all worried about how he's going to age. Cool. I'm all right with that, Sixers, if that's what you want to do. But then you turn around and give that same money to Al Horford, who's older than Jimmy Butler, who plays the same position as the best player on your team. What are you doing? That made no sense. So why Elton Brand still has a job, I do not understand. And if he's going to keep having a job, I still don't quite understand that. Then, to compound the crime of letting Jimmy Butler walk, who was the glue guy of that team, the best performer on the team. Joel Embiid is a great player, but overall, if I needed to bet my life on a game, I'd rather Jimmy Butler than Joel Embiid at this point. Then, and we're going to get to Joel and Ben in a moment, the Sixers turned around and gave whatever Jimmy Butler got from the Heat. I think he got like $160 million. Sixers turned around and gave Tobias Harris $180 million. Now, here's the thing about Tobias Harris. He is a fine player. He's a fine player. He is not a star. He is not a superstar. He's not even, is Tobias Harris, did he make the All-Star game? I think he might have made the All-Star game one time. Tobias Harris is one of those guys, if he makes the All-Star game, he's like the 11th or 12th guy on the roster on the All-Star game. That's the kind of player Tobias Harris is. He'll give you 20, maybe a little bit more than 20 points a game, 7, 8 rebounds. If you watch him every game over the course of a season, you're like, damn, Tobias Harris is actually pretty good. But do you show up to a game to see Tobias Harris? Like, if you hear that whatever team Tobias is on is coming to your town to play against your hometown team, are you buying tickets to the game because Tobias Harris is coming? No. Now, would you buy a ticket because Jimmy Butler's team is coming? Maybe. Would you buy a ticket because Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid is coming? Probably. Would you buy a ticket because LeBron James or Dwayne Wade or Kobe Bryant or who's a star, Stephen Curry or Kawhi Leonard or Giannis is coming to play against your hometown team, yes, 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 yes. Who has ever bought a ticket to see your hometown team play because the road team had Tobias Harris on it? Nobody ever in history. Again, this is not, and I want to be clear, I'm not trashing Tobias or anybody in his camp if they happen to be watching this video, or any of y'all who's a fan of him, but they gave him more money than the Heat gave Jimmy Butler. I'm like, wait a minute, y'all could have signed one guy, one wing guy, y'all signed fucking Tobias Harris, or you could have signed Jimmy. Now I get it, Tobias is considerably in basketball years younger than Jimmy Butler, and I guess that was the main concern. The challenge is the Sixers have a window right now with the East. For the years, the whole line has been the East is weaker, right? That's been the whole thing the whole time. If the East is weaker, you get Joel, Ben, Jimmy as the glue guy. You take the $300 million that you gave to Tobias Harris and Al Horford and get some better players instead of them, better fit players. Again, Tobias is a good player. He should be in the NBA. He just shouldn't be on the Sixers. Al Horford is a good player. He should be in the league playing for somebody. It's not the Sixers. Get better players to fit around them. That's how you make it work. But they didn't do that. Look at even Kevin Love. Kevin Love would have been a better fit than Al Horford, because Kevin Love can shoot threes. He likes shooting threes. He played around LeBron for all those years. He could have fit better than Al Horford. He wouldn't be the best fit, but he's the guy who could fit around somebody like Al Horford. They need somebody they need a stretch outside shooting guy who can also protect the rim on defense. I don't have it in my mind exactly what type of player or who that could be, but that's the kind of player that the Heat need. That is not what the Sixers need, but they went and made some just questionable signings, and they gave way too much money on those questionable signings. So the problem is they compounded the crime. By now, who do you trade Al Horford to? Who do you trade Tobias Harris to? Because both of them need to go, and now you're stuck with those contracts, and they're going to have to give up a lot just to get rid of those guys. Anyway, all that being said, the Sixers, my other prescriptions, I said Joel Embiid needs to get in game shape. Did he do that? No. Joel Embiid has still not been in game shape yet, not one season in his NBA career. As great as Joel is, he could be one of the top 5 players in the league. Y'all remember what Charles Barkley and Shaq were saying about him on TNT, half trashing him, but Joel appreciated it. He took the constructive criticism and said, they're right, I could be doing a lot better. Then he played great in the next game after that, and then he went right back to being Joel Embiid, which is good enough to be an all-star, a starter in the all-star game, even not at optimal performance level. He's not in game shape. He seems to still have not gotten serious enough to be a team leader. He's more like Joel's kind of class clown-ish. He has a little bit of a class clown vibe to him, which is fine if that's who he wants to be as a human being. But if we're talking about being successful in the NBA, you can't be a class clown and lead your team to a championship. All right, is LeBron James a class clown? Is Kawhi Leonard a class clown? Was Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, were these guys class clowns? Even Shaq, he was a class clown before he started winning, when he was getting swept out of the playoffs. When they were winning championships, Shaq wasn't no class clown. He stopped being a class clown so he could win the championship. Was Dirk Nowitzki a class clown? Was Dwayne Wade a class clown? You can't be a class clown and lead a team to a championship. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, you cannot do that and win a championship. Whoever wins the title this year. We got the Nuggets guys, Jokic, Murray. You got Kawhi, Paul George. You got LeBron, Anthony Davis, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, I guess you could say. And who else is it? But Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. None of those guys are class clowns. And guess what? They all still playing. And Joel's at home. All right, do you think that's a coincidence? Probably not. He got the class clown-ish stuff. Again, if that's who he wants to be as a human, I'm not telling him he's wrong to be who he wants to be. But if you're trying to win a championship, it's not going to work. Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a really good player. He doesn't get, I don't think, as much credit as he should get for being how good he is, because everybody focuses on the thing that I'm about to mention, the fact that he doesn't shoot outside shots. And the thing with Ben Simmons is kind of similar with Giannis, so we're going to get to him in a moment, is that he doesn't need to become Ray Allen. He just needs to be able to make one every now and then and be willing to shoot 2 or 3 a game, so the defense is at least somewhat honest that he might make one. They have to play him a little bit closer, which will open up the lanes to do what he should spend most of his time doing, which is attacking the basket. The thing is, if you're playing on the team with Joel Embiid, who is a post-up center, the best post-up center in the league right now, maybe the only post-up center in the league, you have to be able to clear space for that man. And if Ben and Joel are going to be on the same team, Ben has to be able to make shots that will optimize their offense. Now, I'm hearing the Sixers might be looking at, as of this morning, looking at Mike D'Antoni as a coach. That might have happened by the time y'all see this video. I think that would be great, because D'Antoni's a great offensive mind. Joel's already great on D. Ben's already great on D. So they don't really need a defensive coach. They need an offensive coach who can figure that shit out. And right now, Brett Brown was not the guy to figure that out. So if they do get D'Antoni, somehow, some way, maybe he could get through to Ben Simmons. I think the thing with Ben Simmons, I haven't really heard Ben talk too much, but my theory with Ben is that he is been good enough. He has gotten enough accolades with the game that he already has that he doesn't really want to hear anybody telling him that he needs to add to his game. He's like, yo, I'm an all-star. I made all defensive first team, and I got a max contract playing like this. Why do I need to do anything different? And I completely understand his mentality. At the same time, Ben Simmons will not maximize Ben Simmons, nor will he maximize his teammate Joel Embiid with the game that he has right now. So if he's cool with who he is, I understand. But at the same time, he should also understand that the Sixers will not win a championship with the club that they have as presently constructed, with the players, their 2-star players, Joel not being in game shape and being a class clown, and Ben thinking that his game is perfect as it is right now. All right, those are two pressing mental, internal problems that both of those players have, and they're the two best players on the team. All right, Sixers fans are going to be frustrated for a while until or unless those things change. So hopefully, whoever the Sixers hire as a coach can come in and fix that, and either Elton Brand figures out what the hell he's doing as a GM and gets rid of those bad contracts that he just signed, brings in the right kind of players to mix with them, and they get the right mix. They have the right mix to win the East. They can win the East. Sixers can win the East, not this year, but they can win the East if they get the right players around them. So that's all I need to say about them. All right, those are the teams that lost in the first round. In the second round, we got the Raptors, who lost. I mean, this is supposed to be a transition year for them. They made it to the second round, all the way to a Game 7. Heart of the champion. You got to respect the Raptors' season. Kyle Lowry has proven to be, I think, better than many people thought he would be before he ended up in Toronto. He's been great. Pascal Siakam had a great superstar-ish year, but then in the playoffs, he was horrible. So some people are starting to say maybe Siakam is not a number one guy. He's probably not. I think he's a great second option, as he proved last year to Kawhi. He's a great overqualified second option. I put him on the same level as Paul George, as like an overqualified second option, but overwhelmed as a first option. So if they get somebody as a first option above him and then him as a number 2 guy, you got a club right there. As far as the rest of the Raptors, again, they showed up. They showed up. They weren't going to win the championship this year or win the East, but they did show up. That's all I got to say about them. The Milwaukee Bucks lost in the second round. Now, of course, we know Giannis got injured, but we know that the plus minus for Giannis, even when he was healthy, the Bucks were getting their asses kicked, even when he was playing. So we're not giving them a pass, quote unquote, because he got injured, because they were getting their asses kicked even when he was on the court. The thing with Giannis, I think this is on the Bill Simmons show. I was listening to this. I think it was Ryan Russillo, who said this, that Giannis is great when he gets that runaway freight train, transition. He gets a full head of steam. You can't stop him because he'll cross you over, and he takes these long ass steps, and he got this Euro that covers like 20 feet, and he'll dunk on you. You can't stop that. But if you can stop him from doing that, he can't do anything else. Giannis does not really have that much of a post game. You let him shoot outside shots all he wants. Now, it's basically if Ben Simmons was shooting outside shots, he'd be Giannis right now. I guess that's why he doesn't shoot them. And you got to figure out a way Giannis is going to have to figure out a way to be more dominant. And I think Russillo also offered this theory, this suggestion, that Giannis should be more of a post-up player. Develop a post game. All right, and if you can't get your transition fast break thing going, pass it to somebody else, post up, and dominate in the post. That's what Giannis could do, instead of trying to break people down off the bounce from the outside, because everybody knows you're trying to get to the rim. They know if they form a wall and don't let you do that, you're not going to be able to, you can't do anything. You're going to try to ram through people, and it's just not going to work. You can't just ram through everybody all game when they have game plans for you. It works in the regular season when they can't game plan as hard, but in the playoffs, teams can stop it when they have the right personnel. All right, not just any team. Just because they think about it doesn't mean you can stop it. The Heat had the right personnel to stop it. The Raptors had the right personnel last year, but not every team has the right personnel. Boston, for example, did not. Orlando did not. So not everybody can stop it, but it can be stopped when you have the right personnel. So Giannis just needs to figure out, how am I going to be effective when I can't do my battering ram through the defense type of offense, because that does not work. Other than that, Chris Middleton on Milwaukee, he made a lot of big shots in that game where Giannis got hurt. I think that was game 4 where they were about to get swept. The thing is, all the big shots he were making were like these off the bounce pull up jump shots, and those shots don't go in every game, because if they did, Chris Middleton would be damn Kobe. All right, those shots ain't going in every game. They weren't going in the next game. and the Milwaukee Bucks ended up losing. Chris Middleton is a little bit under level second guy. Like if the Bucks number 2 guy was Paul George, the Bucks might have beaten Miami in the second round. They might have beaten the Raptors last year and won the championship. I think Chris Middleton is not quite on the Paul George, Pascal Siakam level of being an overqualified second guy. You need an overqualified second guy. If you look at them, these second guys, they're up there. Like when the Warriors were the juggernaut team, you had Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, whoever you think is the second guy. Both of those guys are quite damn overqualified. Kobe and Shaq, overqualified second guy. When you don't have that overqualified, LeBron and Dwayne Wade, overqualified second guy. Even Tim Duncan with Ginobili and Tony Parker, whoever was the second guy, both of those guys had runs where they were really, really damn good. You need that overqualified second guy who could almost be a number 1, but not quite. Chris Middleton is not that guy. I think he's more of an overqualified number 3 guy, and that's why the Bucks keep coming up short. As far as Eric Bledsoe goes, he had another shitty playoff performance, and this is where the Bucks management has to be blamed because they gave Eric Bledsoe an extension right after they let Malcolm Brogdon walk. Brogdon is younger than Eric Bledsoe. He's a better outside shooter than Eric Bledsoe. He's a better at creating offense off the bounce than Eric Bledsoe. The only thing Bledsoe's better at is defense, and defense matters. But as we can see, you still got to be able to score to win in the playoffs, and Eric Bledsoe came up short again. The Bucks made a critical error in letting Brogdon walk. They should have kept Brogdon and Eric Bledsoe. They failed to do that, and now they might end up losing Giannis because of their mistakes. And they gave Chris Middleton a huge contract that he's not quite that number 2 guy. So that's the problem for the Bucks. They're going to have to figure that out or lose Giannis, or maybe both. Now, who else lost in the second round? Well, that's everybody. So now we're down to the teams who are actually playing. All right, 22 minutes into this. Boston Celtics against the Miami Heat. My hometown now, Miami Heat. Now, I like this matchup because I think these two teams just match up well. Some matchups I just don't like the way the matchups look because the styles are so different. But I like the matchups when the teams are pretty much similar. So we just gonna see what's what and we find out what happens. So this is one of those matchups. Both teams' strengths are in their, I think, in the wings area. So Miami has Jimmy Butler, of course, and then they got the Duncan Robinson, Tyler Heroes, these wings/guards guys. Then you got like a Derrick Jones from Miami. I don't even know if he's in a rotation, if he's playing that much right now. And then on Boston, of course, you got Jason Tatum, and you have Jaylen Brown. 2 guys who are, Tatum's more of a forward, but Brown is kind of like a wing. He can play guard and the forward position. Miami has, they got Dragic, and then Boston also has Kemba Walker. So I like these matchups. That 1 through 3-ish is where the strengths are for both teams. But Miami has Bam Adebayo, who hopefully can outplay, if you want Miami to win, he needs to outplay whoever Boston puts on the court as a big. I'm really interested to see the Jimmy Butler, Jay Tatum matchup because they are the 2 best players. They're the all-stars for both teams. Miami's guards are scrappy. They play tough, and I think they're going to attack Kemba Walker, who can be a weak link on D. I think Jaylen Brown's going to attack whoever is guarding him on D because Jimmy Butler is a guy who would need to be guarding him, but Jimmy can't guard both guys. So that's going to be a chess match in there. I think both of these coaches are really heady, really good playoff KG coaches. Not just regular season coaches like some people are calling Mike Budenholzer in Milwaukee, but playoff coaches. So Spoelstra and Brad Stevens. So this is going to be a really good matchup. I see this series, if everybody's healthy, I see this series going 7 games. But since I live in Miami, I am going to go with the Miami Heat to win this series and get back to the NBA Finals. Not being predicted. Not so many people predicted the Heat would be back in the finals 6 years after LeBron walked out of there. And I think they can get back to the finals. This would be a beautiful Miami versus one of the LA teams I'm hoping for actually being in the finals. Whether even if Denver wins, I want to see Miami against LA Clippers, LA Lakers in the NBA Finals. We'll talk about that later. It'd be great if the series was actually happening in the cities, but it's all going to happen in a bubble. But I'm going to go with Miami in this series. Yeah, I'm going to say 7. I think this is going to be a 7-game series. I would love for it to be 5 or 6 for the team that I'm picking, but I think it's going to go 7 because these teams are very evenly matched. I think they're going to just go trading haymakers, going back and forth. Both teams have exciting players who are proven, players who ain't scared. Yeah, and Miami, I think it'll be very surprising either of these teams being in the NBA Finals. Boston's still relatively young. They have some experience, but not that much. And Miami is just a team nobody thought. All right, Miami in the NBA Finals, they were what, the number 5 seed? I don't think anybody thought Miami was going to make the NBA Finals this year. It would have got Jimmy Butler that the Sixers let walk so they could sign Tobias Harris and Al Horford. Man, anyway, that is my prediction for what's going to happen in the Eastern Conference Finals and my overall thoughts on the East. One last thing. Let me talk about Steve Nash getting hired for the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, when this came out, a bunch of people, since right now we got the civil unrest going on, a white man who had never been an assistant coach gets hired as a coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Of course, Stephen A. Smith did what Stephen A. Smith does. He had to come out and make some kind of statement that's going to get everybody fired up and talking. Now, I believe that he actually believed it, but he called it white privilege for Steve Nash to get hired. Now, I'm calling bullshit. We know that Stephen A. had to react, but we know Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted Steve Nash to be the coach. And in the NBA, who the player wants to be the coach, that's usually who becomes the coach. When LeBron James wanted to get rid of David Blatt in Cleveland, Ty Lue became the coach because that's what LeBron James wanted. And this is the way that it happens with some superstars who have enough pull. Not every star in the league has enough pull to do this. LeBron James got it. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they got it. They got the guy that they wanted, Steve Nash. Steve Nash built a relationship with KD when he was in Golden State working as a whatever he was, special assistant, advisor, whatever he was doing. And KD is up there at the LeBron level, so he can make that call, and that's why it happened. As far as people saying this white privilege, or we already know that's bullshit, because I just explained why. Then people saying, well, look at all these other qualified black assistant coaches who have put in the time and they have put in their work and paid their dues. They didn't get the same chance that Steve Nash got. That's the way life works, ladies and gentlemen. This is the way that it works. I played Division III college basketball, and I got a job playing overseas. Were there D1 players who didn't get a job that same year, who were more quote-unquote qualified than me? Yeah, guess what? This is the way that shit works in life. Everybody does not get equal opportunity at the same time in the same way that everybody else did. If a white guy gets on without being an assistant, coming straight from playing, then take some time off, then go straight to head coaching, and a black guy has to go through the grind of being an assistant, then a higher assistant, and put in 10 years before he gets his opportunity. Sometimes that's just the way that the game works. Understand, in the NBA coaching, there are only 30 jobs. Everybody can't be a head coach. Everybody can't get a job at the same time. Now, could you say that more white guys have gotten a chance than black guys have gotten a chance? Yes, I can agree with that. And guess what? Sometimes that's just the way the game goes. Who are the owners? Most of them are white. Michael Jordan's the only black owner in the NBA. Do white people hire other white people? Yes. Do black people hire other black people? Yes. This is the game. So there are 29 white owners. More white people are going to get hired simply because that's the way the game works. All right? Ain't no affirmative action for coaching, okay? And we shouldn't force affirmative action for coaching, because sometimes the more qualified person, qualified is a very relative term, by the way. We're going to get to that in a moment. The more qualified person sometimes just happens to be white. And if that happens to be the majority of the people working there, maybe there just aren't that many qualified black people. But you said there were a whole lot of qualified black coaches. I agree with you. The thing is, if I'm the owner of a team, I'm going to hire who the fuck I want to hire. I don't give a damn what you think, how many people you think were qualified. They're going to be one head coach. There's only one steering wheel in the car. I want this person driving my car, and that's what I want. I'm the owner. I cut the checks. I make the decision. All right. I don't give a damn about any hashtags or any social movements. I hire who I want to hire because my business, I'm the one who is going to make or lose money based on what happens in this business. And if that's who I want, that's who the hell I want. And if you got a problem with it, you ain't got to buy tickets to my games. And if you want to change it, you can own your own team. And if you don't own the team, then shut the fuck up. That's how I feel about it. All right. If I was the owner of the Nets and somebody said it's white privilege for Steve Nash to get a job, that's a statement that I will put out. All right. That's what I got to say about the Brooklyn Nets hire. All the black coaches out there who didn't get the opportunity, or the people out there, the social justice warriors who are arguing that Steve Nash was white privilege and only white people are getting opportunities and black people ain't getting opportunities. Listen, bitching about not getting opportunities will not get you an opportunity. All right. If you want to bitch about it and you have proof and you have evidence, quote unquote, and you have facts, quote unquote, I'm not arguing with any of your proof, evidence, or facts. What I'm telling you is your proof, evidence, or facts of unfairness will not change the unfairness. So your choice at this point is, are you going to just keep complaining about the unfairness, or are you going to do something to get the unfairness working in your favor? Because bitching about it is not the solution. That is what I got to say about that. All that being said, any of you have a question, comment, criticism, answer, anything about anything that I've said in this video, y'all know what to do with it. I ain't even got to tell you. That's my Eastern Conference Finals preview and my Eastern Conference season recap. I will do Western Conference as soon as we know who's playing. Work on your game. Dre DreAllDay.com.